Hi guys, I thought today we'd do a project in the hoop using the Luminaire Design Center. Pretty much everything I'm going to show you today I think can also be done on the Brother Dream machine, so don't feel like you can't do the same on the Dream. But what we're going to do today is a wall hanging. I had done one last week that Mom had finished that was a chicken, and so today I'm going to do the rooster, and I thought I would film it so I can show you step by step how we go about it. So you see there the rooster in the hoop. Luckily this design fits well in our extra large hoop. So the first thing I'm going to do is scan the image of the rooster into Design Center and use that just as my background. So I'm not going to digitize that image. I just want to have that image to work from and to trace around. The first thing we're going to do is scan in the image of the rooster. Just as it sits in our hoop. So we're going to first go to my Design Center, then come up here to the top corner, see the little fern leaf, we're going to click that, and then we're choosing Image Scan. We just want this to be a background image. We're not trying to digitize it. It would not digitize well with all those different colors of fabric. So this is just going to be an image scan. We're going to hit the scan button. It's warning us that the frame is going to move. We say fine. Gotta wait for a minute. We can watch what it's doing over here. It's just going to quickly scan our hoop. I think it'll be able to do it probably in just 2 passes. I have it set just on the standard setting for scan. I don't have it on the high-res version. Usually that's not needed. I'm just trying to get a background image here. 3 scans, I guess. Okay, so it's finished scanning over here on the screen. It should come up here in a second. There we go. There's our scan, and a couple things to notice here. The first is that looks a fairly dim image. And if you see here at this slider, that's where you can control how dark the background image is. As you go to the left, it gets lighter. If we go all the way to the left, it disappears. And as we go all the way to the right, it gets very vivid. That's great. If you go all the way to the furthest right spot, that's great if you just want to look at your picture, but you will not be able to see any of the tools that you try to use. So just keep in mind, this can throw me the first time. Don't leave your background image all the way over here to dark. You want to at least go back 1 spot. I kind of like to have it 1 or 2 spots. Maybe just there in the middle works fine for me. Okay, so once we've scanned the chicken, now what I want to do is fill the area. I'm going to do the background around the chicken first, and I'm going to fill that with the design that looks kind of like chicken wire to me. I've learned a few things when I did the chicken before I did the rooster. One tip I have for you is when you're first setting up all your digitizing, do not assign the fancy fills you want to use yet. Just stick with a solid color. Trust me, it's going to work out better. Get all your areas defined, then go back sort of as a last step and assign the different fancy fills you want to use. Otherwise you'll get disjointed areas that don't connect up, and you'll have a lot harder time of it. It's also easier to see when you just go with a solid color. So that's what I'm going to do first here, is just fill this whole area. I'm going to fill it with a gray because that's what I'm going to ultimately use here for the chicken wire. So I'm going to come down here and grab a gray. Notice I'm going to leave it on satin. I'm not going to stitch this out as satin, but just for the sake of defining my regions, I'm going to go ahead and use the satin stitch. So I'm going to tell it OK. Now I'm just going to take my paint bucket for this background fill and fill the whole area. I have some choices. Instead of just filling the whole area and then having to delete the borders, I could come over here to my Shapes menu and choose a rectangle. Let's see how that works out for us. And then I could make that rectangle, which is now there, bigger so that it'll fill most of the area. There we go. I'm going to fill up my hoop there with this rectangle. getting bigger and bigger. It's great. That's about as wide as I can go. A little more over maybe. There we go. That's got the width right. Now I need the height. So I'm going to use the height button. Maybe this will be a better way to do it. So for this time, we're going to fill this rectangle now. Okay, that's looking pretty good to me. It's filled most of this background space. Now I'm off a little bit down here at the bottom, but that's okay. I can go back and tweak that. I can just use my eraser when we get to that stage to tweak the areas that I need to tweak. So I'm going to tell it okay. Now I'm going to go get my paint bucket here in the fill area. And I'm going to click on the paint area. I've got my gray selected and my satin stitch. So I'm going to click inside of that rectangle that we just created. It does a pretty good job. Like I said, we might want to tweak it just a little. I could use my eraser here at the bottom. Might make that square. Take it down a little in size. And I could come here just around the bottom. See where that material is not quite in there straight. I don't want to have that chicken wire fill that I'm going to do going over my border. So I'm just going to erase right there. Up here looks fine. I think I'll leave the rest of that alone. Okay, so for right now, what I've got is just the background fill for my chicken. And I'm going to, for now, leave that solid. I'm going to go ahead and save that to my memory. Just learn saving to your memory is not a bad thing to do. The next thing I want to do is select the different areas of the chicken here. So for each of those areas, I'm going to pick a different color, and I'm just going to color in, again with a solid for now. Like each feather I'm going to color in separately. The body of the chicken I'll color in, the wing, up here the feathers around his head, his comb, and his beak, and his feet. Each of those I'll color in with a different color. I'm not going to use the color like the yellow here. I wouldn't be able to see it. So I'm going to pick dark colors and something that's different than the color on the fabric. So let's try this top feather up here. Again, probably don't want to use pink. I won't be able to see what I'm doing. So I'm going to go down here and pick a dark blue. Okay. And I might try zooming in a little bit just so I can see it better. I can use my scroll bars here to move around to where the feathers are. Whoops. There we go. You know, the other way to do this, you can use your scroll bars to move around when you've zoomed in, or you can use this hand tool. So if you click on the hand, watch this, you can move around, up, down, air. You're not moving the image in your hoop per se, you're just moving around in the workspace. Okay, so I've got that where I want it. I can see it really well. So now, instead of picking the paint bucket like we did last time, I'm going to use the paint brush. And I'm going to color in this feather. And I hope we'll be able to see it. If not, we'll make it a little darker. Oh, perfect. That's just great. I can see exactly where I'm going now. So that setting's working out really well for me. And you just want to be able to see what you're doing. Again, remember you can play up here with this slider. If I go lighter, I can see even better what I'm drawing, but I can't see the background quite as well. If I go darker, pretty quick it gets to where I can't see what I've drawn at all. So somewhere in between the two, whatever seems good to you. And I am using a mouse to do this drawing. I find that much easier than trying to use my finger or the stylus. I'm not wild about the stylus if I'm doing intricate work. It's good if I'm doing something quick, but I kind of just like to use my mouse here. It just needs to be a USB mouse, but I have found some of the mice I had at home didn't work too well, and they would just be too sensitive on the screen. When I would move just a little, they'd go zipping across my screen, and there was no way to adjust the sensitivity. Okay, so that feather I'm liking really well. Since this feather down here is the same fabric, I'm going to color it into the same color. And eventually I'm going to fill both of those with the same fill pattern and use the same color thread. So you see what I'm doing. I'm just coloring in each area that I want to have a unique quilted pattern. in with a different solid color. This won't really take too long, and then we'll be able to stitch the whole thing out and we'll be done. So I love the ability of this machine to let us do custom quilting like this. It can really let your creativity loose. Okay, now I want to get these green feathers. So I'm going to go get a different color, something that'll show up well against the green. Let's try purple maybe. I want to keep different colors so they'll stitch out differently. There we go. And then if I want to check what I'm doing, I can make those colors stand out more against the background. Make sure I'm not running over top of what I've already drawn and messing up my outlines there. Again, the machine doesn't care what color you use, and I'm just trying to pick things that'll show up well for me. Okay. You get the idea of it. I'm going to go ahead and finish drawing all this in, and then we'll come back together and I'll show you the next step.